Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Just because I can, and I continue with the Outer Worlds Blind. I think I'm in the home stretch of the game. It definitely seems like it. I've gotten the chemicals that Phineas needs to revive at least some of the rest of the colonists from Hope.
I've kept myself busy in your absence, optimized my formula. I'm now confident I can revive the remaining colonists. All I need now is the dimethyl sulfoxide. I'll take as much as you can give me.
I found your chemicals in the ministry. The board was testing them on human subjects.
Human test subjects? Oh, that's grotesque. That's unthinkable. That's exactly what I'd expect out of the board.
These are all the chemicals I could get. Any more and I would have killed the subjects.
Damn, that's not enough. Not nearly enough for the whole ship. I could revive a handful of settlers. Maybe, possibly, damn.
The colony's on the verge of collapse. The board's been trying to cover it up.
I know. I've suspected as much for years. Of course, I don't expect the board to do a thing about it. They've been driving our colony to the brink of destruction for decades. The board's mismanagement put our colony on the road to collapse. If we don't put a stop to them, thousands of colonists are going to die.
It gets worse. The chairman's planning on freezing every worker in Halcyon.
Hold on. Let me see if I understand this correctly. You're saying that Halcyon's on the brink of total collapse, and the chairman's plan to save all of us is to save himself? I always knew Halcyon was heading toward a systems collapse, but I never imagined we were already there. The board made this crisis, and now they want to solve it by freezing the rest of us? That's not a plan. That's a goddamn escape clause. Do you realize what this means for the Hope? For your fellow colonists? The board's going to kill them all. Toss them out into space, just to make room in their hibernation chambers.
We need to think about it. There has to be something we can do.
Short of lining up every member of the board and shooting them in the back of the head. Do you know what's waiting for us on the Hope? Scientists, engineers, artists, the brightest minds Earth ever sent us, uncorrupted by the board. The board's going to dispose of them all and transform the Hope into a prison for the rest of us. They're likely on their way to the Hope as we speak. We need to get to those colonists before the board. I have enough chemicals to start reviving a few of them, but no easy way to get them off the Hope.
There is a way. It's not exactly safe, but we could skip Hope into the system.
Merciful gibbering law, you're a genius! We bring the Hope to us. Skip the entire ship across the distance of colony space, right next to my lab.
The Hope's probably damaged. We'll have to reroute power from the Unreliable.
Yes, exactly. You're a step ahead of me, but I perceive the shape of your plan. If we link up the Hope to the Unreliable, then use your navigational computer to calculate a reasonably safe vector, we can skip the entire colony ship into the rings of Terra 2.
I don't understand a word you said, Doc. All I know is, if we're gonna hijack a colony ship, count me in.
Yes, excellent. I approve of your enthusiasm, young man. You should ask your captain for a raise. You'll need to switch on the Hope's auxiliary power using the Unreliable. Then head to the bridge. Your navigational computer, Ada, should be able to activate the Hope's skip drive. Once you've skipped the Hope next to my lab, I'll have easy access to the frozen colonists. I can start reviving them immediately.
I'll do it.
I know you're wondering why I'm doing all this. Why I believe the people on the Hope are the answer to the colony's problems. The Hope is carrying some of humanity's most brilliant thinkers, scientists, engineers, experts in their field. If we work together, we can still find a way to save Halcyon. The board would have us believe Halcyon is beyond saving. I choose to believe otherwise. If there's even the slightest chance we can save Halcyon from oblivion, then we have to take it.
I wanted to talk about the hope.
Certainly. How can I help?
Should I expect any resistance?
It wouldn't surprise me. When I pulled you out of the Hope, the board nearly intercepted me. I expect they stepped up security since my little act of larceny.
Just so we're clear, you know skip drives aren't supposed to be used like this.
Skip drives were never designed to be used within a system, but I skipped my ship across Halcyon when I rescued you, and that turned out fine, mostly. That is, I ruined my ship and nearly killed myself in the process, but the maneuver was well within acceptable margins of risk. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
People aren't going to notice a gigantic colony ship slamming into the rings of Terra 2?
Unlikely. The Hope is as massive as the Groundbreaker, but compared to the rings of Terra 2, positively minuscule. The board might notice, possibly, depending on the position of their heads relative to the depth of their collective posteriors.
You got a second? You know, they're gonna make a serial about our adventures one day. I've been trying to think of a good title for this episode. I like the sound of The Skip Job. No, wait, I got it. Hope in Dark Times. Get it? Hope? Like the ship. That's what folks in the business call wordplay.
Yeah, I got it.
Nothing gets past you, boss. In fact, I've been thinking about what we'd call our adventure serial. Thrilling Tales of the Unreliable. Or maybe spine-chilling stories from the edge of the system. Was also considering Astounding Adventures in the Ether. I'm partial to that last one.
I really don't care. I'm glad you're having fun, but we have a job to do.
Yeah, we got a job to do. We're hijacking a lost colony ship and slamming it right into the rings of Terra 2. Stealing the Hope from the board, skipping it across the whole damn system. This is gonna be great. I can't wait.
Well, I like your attitude.
Enough to boost my pay? I'm just kidding, boss. I know you don't pay me. I'm sure you've got plans to make. As for me, I gotta keep practicing my signature dropkick. The Hope might have cameras.
Captain, I hope Dr. Wells has not dragged you into one of his irrational schemes again. My diagnosis of his mental stability is not flattering.
Halcyon's second colony ship, arrived damaged and decades behind schedule. Its crew had long since perished, and its frozen colonists were unable to be revived.
We have arrived at the Hope. I need you to reroute power from our ship to the Hope's auxiliary generator. You'll have to connect me to the Hope's comm system so I can convince her central computer to enable the skip drive.
What's going to happen if I skip Hope?
If your calculations are even slightly off, you could crash the entire colony ship into Terra 2. Or the Sun.
Tell me about the Hope.
The Hope is the Groundbreaker's prettier, sleeker sister. She wandered off and got lost for 70 years, but just recently was found. Also, there are hundreds of thousands of frozen organic life forms hibernating in her hold.
Okay, I'll take Parvati for the final stretch of the game, because she's probably my favorite companion. Auxiliary power station. Patch. Routing auxiliary power to the supplement UDL's reactor. Status. Logs. Power is now being routed from the docking bay. Reactor is now in auxiliary power mode. Personnel of notable rank. Captain Hunt Wilhelm. First Mate Hunt Donna. Navigation Torega Rezi. Chief Engineer Nolda Frank. Medical Officer Volkov Alexei. Error accessing archives. 10 years. Longest trip Donna and I ever took was a week-long sojourn in the Silver Mountains. Even that set her on edge. She's a homebody, always was. She packed so much food, we could have been stranded out on those rocks for a month, and probably would have been fine. UDL sent us a team-building seminar into the city once. Sent us on a team-building seminar into the city once. They paid for everything. Donna still packed nutrient bars just in case the bus broke down. It's gonna take the ship 10 years to reach Halcyon, an entire decade. It's a good thing that UDL provided the rations, else she might have dumped our life savings into mixed nuts and freeze-dried meat. This is it, folk. Say goodbye to old Blue, eh? Yeah, if anyone wants to, good riddance. Why so bitter, Rezi? She's been a good home. Give me a spaceship any day of the week. Well, we'll see how we feel in a year. So, a moment of silence, or should we make a toast? Anything? It feels weird leaving Earth in the rearview mirror. From now on, we only look forward.
That ought to do it, Captain.
Huh? What was that?
Something's not right. Open fire!
Darling, I've just had a frightening epiphany. What's wrong? I've just realized that we'll be nearing our 50s when we arrive in Halcyon. Yes, but our Lucas, when they wake him up, he'll still be 6. By the time he's out of schooling, we'll be nearly 60. I feel as though time is being stolen from me. He'll work on the ship when he graduates. We'll see him again. I hope so, Will. You've gotta help me, Alexei. I'm gonna go mental. What's the problem? It's the food. Our rations? Are we having digestion issues? No, I just hate boars, Doctor. I hate it. Can't spend the next 10 years eating it. I thought you had an actual medical problem, Frank. I do, it's disgusting. Get back to your post, you're wasting my time. Come on, there's gotta be something you can prescribe. You'll get used to or you'll starve. Up to you. Unauthorized access will result in immediate termination upon your arrival in Halcyon. Access to storage pods is currently unavailable. Status normal, current pod count 9,1999. Pod removal, occupant Matthias Stone removed by unknown crew member. Hundreds of thousands of colonists left to drift out here forever just to keep damaging the board's bottom line. Disgraceful. That's from the intro, that's Phineas speaking.
You alright, Captain? I mean,
Now route communications through the unreliable.
Can you hear me, Captain? I have successfully integrated myself into the Hope's comm systems, and am attempting to establish contact with the Hope's more primitive processor now. Would you like me? I see you've located the stasis chambers. Which pod were you slumbering in for so long, Captain? The missing one, I take it?
Where does this go? Because I'm coming back, right? To the unreliable? Well, no.
That's the Hope's computer up ahead. I'll admit, I am curious to wake him.
finally. The sooner we jump this ship, the sooner we can get back to solid ground.
Patch aided through.
Greetings, Captain. I am speaking to you through the Hope's computer system. It's a rather cramped feeling, but it'll do.
I'm ready to skip the Hope. Wait, before I do this, tell me, Ada, am I really doing the right thing?
Probably not, but don't let that stop you. My Constellation executables could use some beefing up. Searching. Please stand by. Ah, found one. It will go great, Captain. I am almost 4.01% certain we will not die.
I'm ready to skip the Hope.
Are you sure? That is extremely dangerous. Skipping the Hope will void the warranty on the skip drive. And also potentially kill an entire planet. How is my humor now, Captain? Improved?
Skip Hope to Terra 2.
Jump-starting the skip drive. Destination set to the rings of Terra 2.
Do it.
Oh no. Captain, don't do this. I ain't dying on a fucking ship. I want to die in the dirt like we're meant to.
Doing it. I mean, affirmative. Skipping the Hope in 3, 2, 1.
ADA, does your captain seriously intend to do a micro-jump in system with engines that haven't been powered in 70 years? On a derelict ship?
That is what my captain intends, yes.
But that is a gross misuse of the skip drive. The Zero Point Drives Corp and I will not be held responsible for any damage incurred during transport, and this will cause extreme damage.
Yes, I am aware of that.
You should not be doing this. The humans will die.
Thank you, Hope. It looks like all systems are go. Captain, I would advise you to hold on to something. Now. Oh, good. We are still alive and have successfully skipped into Terra 2's orbit. I reported as much to Phineas Wells, but he has not responded. Perhaps you should check in on him.
Oh. I feel like I've been turned inside out. Let's not do that again.
Captain, I am receiving a transmission from... Captain, I shall now play the transmission I received from Dr. Wells.
The board is here. They've found me somehow. They're about to blast my door open. I can't stop them from getting me, and there isn't enough time to explain everything. But there's something very important you need to remember. The board, all their lackeys, they're all a bunch of swine. Do you hear me? They're fucking corporate swine. You fucking pigs! I'll take you all out with me! I'll never...
It would seem the recording captured some rather dire events. I presume you'll want to dock at the orbital lab to check on your associate as soon as possible? How can I be of assistance? Take care. I require a functioning captain to run the ship. Now arriving at Phineas's top-secret orbital lab.
UDL official arrest receipt. As per official protocol arrest protocol outlined in the Defense Logistics Incarceration document, the individual who has been detained at this location must appear in an official Halcyon court at the appointed date and time with his paperwork in order to register that they are indeed properly arrested for the crimes listed under the name. Failure to appear at the appointed date and time with the paperwork will result in additional late fees and the rescheduling of the prisoner's appointed incarceration registration date. Failure to appear at the subsequent court dates may incur additional fees. Halcyon Court is not being responsible for missed appointments that are a consequence of being held within a locked cell or any other high-security containment location. Please note that this is your only copy of the receipt that you will receive, and it is your responsibility to have it with you when you appear for your registration session. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I got careless.
Incoming, Captain!
If you're seeing this screen, I, Phineas Wells, who have been perniciously kidnapped and very probably incarcerated by the perfidious and cowardly government of Halcyon in the prison fortress of Tartarus, if I have not already been executed for charges leveled against me, I hope the person reading this terminal will find a way to finish my work or rescue me, preferably the latter. The screen constitutes my last will and testament. I commend my body and my belongings to the icy depths of the ether. If this is Matthias Stone, I have preferred an emergency package located in the hidden panel. Unlock the panel from my terminal and claim its contents immediately. For Phineas Wells' eyes only, must delete entries from terminal memory, no telling who might be looking. The Hope made it to Halcyon after all, 25 years too late. The board doesn't know what to do with the entire ship of frozen colonists, so naturally they are going to leave them there. Corporate tells us revival is impossible. They tried absolutely nothing, and apparently they are all out of options. Boulder Dash. Cellular regeneration after a long time hibernation is really just a question of thermodynamics. I'm quite confident I can find a way to revive the Hope colonists. If the corporate would only authorize my requests. Frankly, I don't see why I need a permission with my employers to conduct experiments in the name of scientific advancement. What nonsense. Did Newton beg permission from his employers before discovering the 3 laws of motion? Genius is not beholden to the vicissitudes of bureaucracy. Besides, the Hope has a cargo of hundreds of thousands of people. The board practically expects a few to go missing. 113 seconds, new record. Most of my subjects last 93 seconds on average before the total cellular liquefaction reduces them to several gallons of organic soup, 3 degrees above freezing temperature. 113 seconds of screaming. The subject was stronger than the others, but in the end his body failed to survive the revival process. He was my 12th subject to die. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. Strictly speaking, I do know. The Hope has hundreds of thousands of colonists. I've only experimented on 12. How many experiments before I successfully revive a single subject? 1, 10, 100, 500? Statistically insignificant. If I experimented on 1 subject every month, I would not make a dent in the Hope's population in a lifetime. Can still hear the screaming, trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, psychological toll significant, onto the subject number 13. I have always suspected this would happen. The board finally discovered what I've done and sent their headhunters to track me down, but they'll never find me. They say I'm a murderer, and they are right. I am. I regret what I have done. But I'm not about to turn myself into the board. I'm not going to go and beg the board forgiveness. Only the Hope's colonists can forgive for what I've done. They are the only people who can set things right, and I am going to find a way to revive them, no matter how long I have to stay in hiding. I've got my notes with me, I have my equipment, and now I have this lab. It's time I return to work. Okay, so he has been doing this for a longer time, and it has failed every time but with me. I was the first successful one, but there were others before me. But to be honest, it doesn't change my view of Phineas Wells that much, because at least he tried doing something. At least he tried to help those people. He failed, sure, but eventually he succeeded, and because of that, we might revive the rest of them now. Some of them died, but it's not like he wanted that. Finn's force. Is there anything else? Ah, Tartarus Navki. Alright.
Captain, as it appears we may soon be embarking for a maximum security prison planet, I believe the crew would like to speak with you to, as you humans put it, air some concerns.
Those board goons kidnapped Mr. Phineas and hauled him away to Tartarus. How are we gonna get him out?
Breaking Phineas Wells out of a maximum security penitentiary. I can't think of a better lost cause to commit ourselves to.
To extract the scientist, you will need to infiltrate the labyrinth. But that course of action is likely to be quite dangerous, Captain.
We can't abandon Phineas. We have to free him if there's any hope of saving the colony.
I am programmed to warn you whenever you exhibit inclinations toward risky behavior. Breaking into Tartarus will not be easy.
Getting in is the simple part. It's getting out again that's the trouble. Trust me, I know.
Let's just do it. Kick down some doors, grab Doc Wells, and cut a path out. We don't need a plan. We got guns.
If you really mean to do this, you should see to your final affairs and close out any unfinished business. Once you sneak into Tartarus, you may be there a while. Or permanently.
We're doing it. Everyone strap in. Crew, what do you think about all this?
It's the craziest plan I've ever heard. And I mean that as a compliment.
You didn't hire me to think. And I ain't about to start now. You're my boss. And I'll walk into fire with you.
I think it's insane. But maybe the colony needs a healthy dose of insanity right about now.
I know it's dangerous. And I won't lie and say I'm not scared out of my wits. But I couldn't live with myself if we didn't do something.
You're asking for more than bravery from us, Captain. But there are worse ways to go than dying for a good cause. I'm in.
Let Sam get the grime out. It's what our units do best.
The entire plan is a terrible idea, but I admire your bravado, Captain, which leads me to illogically believe, against the odds, that you will be successful.
We're doing it. Everyone strap in.
If we don't make it, at least it'll be a great story.
Got my trusty tossball stick. Got my ass-kicking boots. I'm ready, boss.
Outstanding.
You can count on us, Captain. We're crew. For real crew. That means we got each other's backs. Right?
Never thought I'd volunteer to break into a prison. Seems like your tendency towards risky behavior is rubbing off on me, Captain.
Command not recognized.
Waiting on your command, Captain.
Well, let's go. I'll catch a minute of sleep to alleviate any attribute penalties.
Would you like a reminder on when your next shower is scheduled?
Tartarus. Named after its hellish atmosphere, Tartarus is where the board maintains its maximum security penal complex, known as the Labyrinth. You're about to assault the Labyrinth on Tartarus and determine the fate of Halcyon Colony. Saves made after this point can only finish the main story on Tartarus. Side quests and downloaded content will be unavailable for any saves made beyond this point. If there's anything you want to do, do it now, before you cross the point of no return. Would you like to continue? Yes. Yes.
I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the Labyrinth. Please be advised that the punishment for trespassing is execution. Please be advised that electrical storms on the surface of Tartarus make departure impossible at this time.
Know anything useful?
Resident count is as follows: 3,071. Resident deaths, including but not limited to executions, are as follows: 1,684. Resident escapes are as follows: 0. The interior can be chilly. Take a scarf with you, Captain. I would also ask that you leave your captain's ID with me, in the event that you do not return.
You promise not to leave without me?
I can make the assurance that I will not leave with another captain unless you do not return within 876,541,652 hours. Oh, speak of the devil. Captain, I am receiving a transmission from the prison's docking authority now.
Attention, unauthorized spacecraft. This is a maximum security installation. Your presence here is an explicit violation of UDL corporate policy. You are hereby confined to your docking platform until a ticket detailing your crimes has been filed and notarized, at which point your vessel will be seized and you will be executed.
How long will that take? What the hell is with you people in landing violations?
I'm sorry, you people? Did you just cast a generalization on upstanding UDL employees? That's a fine of 200 bits. You're up to 5,708, not including the cost of your execution and the disposal of your remains, which will be assessed posthumously.
Hey, how do I know you're a real officer under that helmet? Show me your biometric ID.
Alright, I'm feeling generous. I'm transmitting the ID of a productive, law-abiding employee so you can see what one looks like before you die. Anyway, Tartarus Docking Authority signing up. Hang on. Another ship just pulled into your dock. Wait, is that from the Groundbreaker? What the? Pay no mind to that, just have a pleasant day.
Transmission terminated. Biometric ID received. Transferring data to external cartridge. How can I be of assistance? I think I'll initiate an unscheduled.
The board will never own Groundbreaker. Not while I breathe. Push on, Mardat.
Somebody clean up. Somebody toss this garbage. Trash.
Okay, that was anticlimactic.
own groundbreaker. Not while I breathe. Push on, Mardak!
Might be the loneliest place in the whole system. Let's look around. There's gotta be a few ways through here.
Right by us once. The board will never own groundbreaker. Not while I breathe. Push on, Mardak!
keen on walking into a prison. They lock me up, I'm liable to kill everyone trying to get back out. Whew. We have a lot of shooting to do.
Something's not right. What was that? Got your paperwork squared away.
Solitary Confinement Prison Manifest. Hague C, possession of anti-UDL communications, duration 17. William T, inciting violence, duration 31. Black M, duration 5. Random selection, error undefined. Note from your favorite warden, please do not leave perishables in here. We mark this as cold storage because we are starting to move pods in here. This is not an actual freezer. The next time I find a decomposing woolly cow box here, I am leaving it on air conditioning intake for a week. Dimethyl sulfoxide canisters in. Oh, so there's more of them. Great, that may help us revive the rest of the colonists. Straight jackets, riot batons, ballistic vests, hibernation chamber, indoctrination pamphlets, forced pacification system refills, hibernation chamber, material storage and shipping containers. Structural changes needed to accommodate the hibernation chambers in the facility, and analysis from the engineer Rodfield Crane and Gaze, beginning with the requirement that every chamber receive a constant supply of, at minimum, 34 kilowatts, and the occupants of those chambers be injected with a steady supply of UDL's patented Vito hibernation fluid, and this run-on sentence carries for 12 pages before finally concluding, and thus, in order to maintain structural integrity throughout the area assigned the pit, we recommend that the chambers are installed in a cylindrical fashion around a supporting structure dug into the crust of Tartarus to a maximum depth of. This conclusion extends for another 2 pages.
Bravo troops. Stellar base counting on us.
Okay, that's kinda cool that I get reinforcements from people whom I helped before.
Well, look who it is. I'll be damned. I was prepping the studio for our announcement, and here you are as a bonus. I had heard you'd taken a mechanic under your wing. What's the matter, girl? Couldn't find actual employment?
The captain's treated me right. Better than any of you bored folk ever have. I'm exactly where I want to be.
Ah, I knew I smelled Monarch when you lot walked in. The stench of sulfur, depression, and desperate bravado is unmistakable.
Keep talking, you'll be smelling iron. Ain't nobody so important I won't put a bullet in.
When you go off and get yourself shot, try to avoid taking one to the face. I'll want it recognizable to show to my citizens.
Chairman Rockwell, I presume.
My word! You've correctly identified the most recognizable man in the colony. Remarkable. It's a wonder what Phineas saw in you. Then again, he's an insane person. Thankfully, he's our insane person now. A proper company man.
Please, Phineas would rather die than cooperate.
Yes, he is an extraordinarily obstinate fellow, isn't he? Fine, he isn't working for us per se. Semantics, he'll come around. But that's between us. As far as my adoring citizens will know, we've turned a dangerous crackpot into a working-class man. It's a miracle.
That crackpot is saving the colonists you gave up on.
Oh yes, go on, wake them up, add more mouths to feed. That'll solve our starvation problems. I don't know what half-baked plans that simpleton in a lab coat has been leading you through, but it's done. It's over. Let me ask you something, Captain. Have you at any point thought about not fucking up our entire society?
We're helping, which is more than you can say.
I'm making actual progress towards stabilization and recovery. You're just getting in the way.
You'd prefer to keep riding this downward spiral? I can fix this place.
If I and my people can ride it out in luxury and happiness, yes, I would. I don't know if you've noticed, Captain, but Halcyon's pretty much a lost cause.
I think I'm going to kill him. The board is so monstrous. I don't want them cooperating with me. I just want them gone. This isn't going anywhere, is it? I have rescuing to do. Don't be here when I get back. Jim, I'm trying to get straight with Akanda's orders. Only a few more things from my end, but I don't know what we'll do about the cameras. She says security footage ain't enough. They want proper reels? What's going on? W. She's bringing on a VIP for internment. Security's ramping up too. Sorry for the inconvenience, it's a fine mess down there. She said something about recording an announcement. They're all overly excited. It's hush-hush, but I guess this VIP has been on a run for a while. I bet the engineers have a few cameras. I'll see if I can track some down. Jim. Jim, I appreciate it. You know her. We miss a check on this list. It's our heads. You have no idea how tough it is. It was getting a fucking green tarp. W. Oh, for green screen. For green screen.
MSI. I'm not one for rousing speeches, but the captain needs our help. So get in there and fight.
Well, I appreciate it. Crap, sorry about that. That was a friendly fire. Let's erase that from the history books. No, I don't want to kill those people.
Captain, you have an uncanny talent for complicating my life. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. You've introduced uncertainty, and there is nothing I despise more than uncertainty.
It's over, Sophia. We're liberating Halcyon, and there's not a damn thing you can do to stop us.
Do you imagine you're leading some grand revolutionary army? The iconoclasts and MSI have put aside their differences and attacked the prison together. I never imagined such a thing would be possible, but here we are. You're nothing but a rabble-rouser. I'm going to put an end to your little rebellion, and then I'm going to have you and your associates arrested.
I'm here for Phineas. Let him go.
You make a nuanced and compelling argument. Here's my rebuttal. No. Dr. Wells is being held in my custody. His cooperation will prove invaluable, even if I have to beat it out of him. All that's left to do is put down this riot, arrest you, and then get on with the bloody business of saving this colony.
Well, I don't enjoy the thought of killing you. There have been enough violence already.
In that we are in agreement. An end to violence is precisely what I want. An end to chaos. An end to senseless loss of life. The only obstacle standing in my way is you. I take no pleasure in this, you know. I simply have no other option. Leaving you alive is too great a risk. Goodbye, Captain.
Well, I'm rescuing Phineas and I'm going through you if I have to.
I had a feeling you'd say that. This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. I've had it programmed to eliminate you on sight and rinse your remains down a drain. And don't worry. I will inform Dr. Wells that you died heroically, or something.
Well, is there a boss fight against this mechanical warden? Well, I'm not sure if it's a boss fight, but it's a fight. Oh, really? It's by all accounts pretty annoying.
Let's go, troops. Stellar base counting on us.
right, MSI. I'm not one for rousing speeches, but the captain needs our help. So, get in there and...
Take a breath now, folks. Once we're up there, I suspect we ain't gonna have time to stop shooting. Make it look so easy.
Why won't you just die?
Get me out of here!
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
Are you alright? What did they do to you?
I'm all right, thanks to you. Akande wanted my cooperation. I'm quite sure she would have beaten it out of me if you hadn't arrived. You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated.
I don't like the sound of it.
Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do on our own.
You mean we're all alone out here? Really alone?
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is no longer an option. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
We have a lot of work ahead of us. We better get started.
Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds, and then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us?
You can count on me. I'll help you revive the other colonists.
When I revived you, I thought you were going to help me save this colony. I was wrong. I had our roles reversed, you see. You're the one who's going to save us all. I'm just the one who set you on your path. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause. MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. Consumed by paranoia, Lilia Hagen took sublight salvage in a controversial direction openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident at the Groundbreaker's docking bay silenced her forever. Time would tell if her replacement could keep the Sublight family together. Adelaide McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Even the Gorgon asteroid, though a distant enigma to most of Halcyon, felt the aftershocks of your actions. The destroyed Adrenatime synthesizer became a symbol of the board's cruelty and a rallying point for Wells and his scientists as they sought to build a more humane, ethical Halcyon. They cleared the dead from Gorgon's laboratories and repurposed them to aid in the crucial work of solving the colony's nutrition crisis. Gorgon, which had once sown death and destruction across Halcyon, became a source of hope and renewal. The Gorgon Project's final explosive end was bittersweet for Olivia Ambrose. She wandered the colony's fringes alone, searching for others like her who despised the board and meant to destroy them. In time, she found Phineas Wells and his cadre of scientists, and she joined them in their efforts to save Halcyon. For a while, she even knew an uneasy peace. But for all that, Olivia found purpose in Wells' project. She was always haunted by the memory of her daughter, Minnie, who hadn't lived to see the better world they were building. She never did forgive herself for the horror her work had wrought on Halcyon. But she remembered fondly the daring captain who'd put an end to it at last. In spite of everything, the Gorgon asteroid remained a sobering reminder of the potential for progress and disaster in humanity's most ambitious efforts. The Rizzo's company in Halcyon dissolved after the collapse of the board. Needless to say, the launch of Spectrum Brown was indefinitely delayed. A stockpile of Spectrum Brown remains buried deep beneath the ruins of the old distillery, abandoned to time and attrition. With the dissolution of the board, Ruth Bellamy found herself without the two constants in her life: Byzantine culture and her sister Belinda. In the face of this new reality, she struggled to find a direction for her life. The colony had moved on from Halcyon Helen and would require new heroes in the years to come. And so Ruth Bellamy decided it was time to exit stage left. She quietly disappeared from public view. The dissolution of the board did not mean the dissolution of the ambitions of Cedric Kincannon, the charismatic leader of Sublight Underground. Cedric offered slugs transportation services to the newly thawed colonists and set to work ferrying resources and food wherever they were most needed. For better or worse, slug headgear became fashionable in the following years. As the board began to disintegrate, Spencer Woolrich found himself at a crossroads. cling to what little stardom remained to him, or help usher Halcyon into its new future. To the surprise of many, perhaps himself most of all, Spencer chose the latter option. Having learned a variety of different skills in the many different roles played throughout his lengthy career, Spencer founded a radio serial dedicated to staying alive despite the odds. His subjects included how to survive violent encounters with only grazing wounds, dispense pithy one-liners for tense scenarios, and, of course, how to look good doing both. After a brief attempt at dating Helen as one person rather than two, which both Bertie and Helen found too strange, Bertie struck out on his own to try his hand at raising woolly cows. Many of his former Rangers teammates soon followed, accompanied by the woolly cow the team had originally plied with alcohol. The dairy farm thrived under Bertie's leadership and care. The Dairy Rangers privately believed that the woolly cows softened Bertie's temper considerably, although the only one brave enough to say this to his face was promptly headbutted. Due to the board's dissolution, many of the Prophet's old customers no longer found quite the same value in productivity seminars that they once had. With her business drying up, the Prophet chose to take her followers down a new path. Months later, salvagers on Eridanos found clues leading them to a seemingly abandoned bunker out in the wilderness. Inside, they discovered horribly mangled corpses, sacrificed to a blood-scrawled portrait of a sprat-headed deity. The Prophet was not among the bodies. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past, and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Well, so that was The Outer Worlds, and man, am I disappointed with this game. Like, it's hard to actually put into words how boundlessly mediocre I found this game, and it's a shame because I know that Obsidian can write good stories. You know, I love Fallout New Vegas. I did like KOTOR 2 as well, and I did like Tyranny quite a lot. I played Tyranny recently-ish, but this was so painfully bland that it's kind of almost insulting. Like, I would have preferred, because, you know, don't get me wrong, this game is competently done. Like, you know when you play this, it works alright, and you know, there are systems in place, you know, skill checks, choice and consequence, that let you know that people who made this game know how to make an RPG, but the actual substance of it is like so woefully by the numbers, so bland and uninteresting that it's almost kind of worse than if it was like a bad game. Which incidentally, I do think this kinda is a bad game, by the virtue of its boundless mediocrity. Like, there's nothing in this game that I will remember. Nothing. You know, the entire setting is like, I feel the corporate satire majorly misses the point, because once you have the corporations, so over the top, and sort of the cyberpunk element of the capitalism run rampant, so over the top, you can't really take it seriously, and it's sort of siphons away the drama from the story, because whenever some seriously fucked up things were revealed, which in another game would have been a major plot twist and sort of shocking, I was just like, alright, that kind of tracks for what the game was presenting. And I feel like the satire was so heavy-handed that it was essentially meaningless. Like, you would have to be insane, certifiably insane, to throw a lot in with the board in its current iteration as presented by this game, because the corporations were so powerful and so unethical that it removed any meaningful element of choice, because I struggled to find a reason why you would support the corporations, if not just for shits and giggles, whereas in Fallout New Vegas, people still have meaningful discussions of, never mind the Legion. The Legion can be relegated to the scrapyard of history, but people still have meaningful discussions of what's the better choice for the Mojave, between Mr. House and the NCR, and running it yourself. Whereas here, there's nothing to discuss, because the only person who would even side with the board is a complete, unashamed psychopath with no capacity for human empathy. What message does this game send? Does it tell you that, super unrestricted capitalism on steroids, where companies essentially own people, is wrong? Duh. Who in their right mind would disagree with that? I am closer to being a liberal than a progressive when it comes to economic matters. But even I value the free market and all that, but even I, and and even people who are much more on the right, economically speaking, no one, not even the most ardent supporter of capitalism and free markets and whatnot, would support the board in this, and the corporations, because they are so cartoonishly over the top that you just can't. And I felt that this game, it just dragged on through through uninteresting scenarios and sort of uninteresting characters. The only character that I sort of formed any kind of connection with whatsoever was Parvati, but that's not even because of the writing. I think it's mostly because of the voice actor. I think she did a great job of making the character likable, but but yeah, I've spent 40 hours in this game, and I feel like I'm going to forget it in a week. I don't think this was a good game. I am majorly disappointed by what Obsidian presented in this, especially because, as I said, I know they can make a good RPG. So I don't know what happened. Is this the newest of their games, or was Tyranny after that? I'm unsure. But yeah, this has majorly missed the mark for me. I really don't think it was that good, and like I would say from the half point, or like 60% onward, I had to push myself to play this game a little bit, which is one of the worst condemnations that you can give an entertainment product, I feel like, because like if you have to force yourself to play, I think something has went seriously wrong, and I think it did in the case of this. I might write like a more detailed review slash a summary of my thoughts. If I do, it's going to be in the pinned comment underneath this video, and if I don't, then I guess I don't. For now, I'll just let the credits play in their entirety out of my respect for the developers, and that's all for this one, and and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Dzień dobry, chciałbym zamówić z dostawą. Wielką Bucharstów 7 w Bielsku. Stare Bielsko, tak? Okej. Dobra. To będzie 2 razy. To będzie 2 razy kubek z mięsem i frytkami, duży, z wołowiną i mieszany sos. I to wszystko. I chciałbym... Nie, 2 razy, 2. I teraz 504, 690, 482. Kartą zapłacę i proszę przekazać kierowcy, żeby mi puścił sygnał, to wyjdę przed budynek odebrać. Okej, dobra. Dziękuję, do widzenia.